Hey, welcome to Half the Battle, and welcome back to Main Character May,
where we're discussing Lady Jaye all month long.
And today we're gonna be talking about the character, starting with the file card.
And we're starting with the code name, Lady Jaye. Why that name? What does it mean?
Well, first of all, let's get the boring real-world explanation out of the way.
The name is in honor of the wife of Jay Bacall, son of the co-founder of Griffin Bacall, the advertising agency that helped build G.I.Joe, a real American hero, the brand. That doesn't fly within the G.I.Joe universe though, so what is the in-universe explanation?
Well, there isn't one.
I'm not kidding. J is just a phonetic spelling of the letter J, and there's never been an official explanation of what the J stands for. Sorta like Homer J. Simpson.
There are two popular fan theories though, and one that's less popular.
The first popular theory is that the J stands for Joe, because she's a lady, and she's a Joe, hence Lady Joe. I'm not a fan of this idea as it's too generic. It might have worked if she was the only woman on the Joe team, but there are others. Not many, but a few who could also be Lady Joes.
The second popular theory is that the J stands for Javelin.
I like this a lot more since it's specific to her, what with it being her weapon of choice. I'd even go so far as to say maybe Lady Javelin is a real code name, and the Joes just shortened it to Lady Jaye because that's a mouthful to say under the best of circumstances. Never mind when you're in combat and need to address somebody quickly.
The third and least popular idea is that the J stands for Jane,
as an homage to the original G.I. Jane from the 12-inch line. I'm not a fan of this either, as it would only make sense if her real name was Jane, which it isn't, it's Allison. That all brings us back to the Lady Javelin theory, which I consider to be canon, and so should you, because I'm always right about everything.
I'm just inviting somebody to make a massive list of all the things I ever got wrong, aren't I?
One last thing about the code name. This is just a Berenstain Mandela effect kind of thing, but I could have sworn that in some regions her name was spelled as just Lady Jaye. But going through all the foreign file cards I could find, it's always been spelled Jay. Weird. Yes, there is the comic, but we'll get to that at a later date.
Wow, that was a long time talking about her name. So now let's talk about her name.
Her real name is Allison Hart Burnett. It's a pretty weak pun, heartburn, haha. But it's also a real last name. Hell, just putting it in Google gave me an actual Allison Hart Burnett in the US Army right now, though that could be a fake profile.
Anyway,
she's from Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts. Her primary specialty is intelligence, and secondary one is personnel clerk? Okay, a little weird, but hey, Roadblock's secondary specialty is cook, so they don't all need to be badass. Though Roadblock was a badass cook. Her rank is E4, which makes her either a corporal or a specialist.
And now we finally get to the body of text on the card.
She graduated from, dear lord, I have to look up how to pronounce that. Okay, she graduated from Bryn Mawr. That's an all-women college in Pennsylvania. The name is Welsh for Big Hill. She then also graduated from Trinity College in Dublin. This caused her to develop a slight Irish accent. Not that you'll hear that in the cartoon, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Moving on, she's an accomplished actress and mime?
Mime?
Okay, who else just pictured her dressed as a mime?
Yeah, and you'll never be able to scrub that from your mind.
She's also a studied linguist, speaking many languages fluently so she can pass as native in France, Italy, Poland, Russia, Germany, Afghanistan, Spain, and Portugal. Okay, that's a bit of a stretch. Not being able to speak like 9 languages, I can speak for myself, but speaking it well enough to pass as a native, I imagine the writer had to show great restraint by using the term studied linguist and not cunning linguist. As you could just tell, I did not have the willpower to avoid the pun. And come on, it's not like there has never been innuendo in Hasbro media.
Find any new positions?
Anyway, she graduated from yet another school, a military one this time. The intelligence school at Hollabird, or Holabird.
Ain't you Hollabird, girl? Sorry.
The last paragraph is a quote. Lady Jaye doesn't go in for that phony wig and rubber mask brand of disguise like those jokers on Mission Improbable.
Okay, a lot to unpack there.
First of all, I'm just reading this, and then I look at that Spy Troops figure and I just sigh. Also, weird take at Mission Impossible there. By the way, this was long before the Tom Cruise movies. This was a reference to the TV series that ended in 1973. If that seems dated, you gotta remember the show was still shown in syndication in the 80s. So instead of a rubber mask, she becomes the subject. Body language, subtle gesture, correct shading of dialect, the right look in the eye. Again, impressive.
And that was the file card. And you know what wasn't on the card?
Any mention of a freaking javelin, making the codename theory a little bit less likely. They do mention a reflex crossbow, which is weird because crossbows are Scarlett's thing.
The 1997 card alters things a bit.
For one thing, she got a promotion and is now an E7 or Sergeant First Class. The mention of an Irish accent is gone, and it mentions she's in a relationship with Flint, something that seems weird to put on a file card, but you have to remember these 97 cards were written by fans. The jab at Mission Impossible is gone too. The quote now says that because of her role in covert operations, she's less of a team player, though she's friendly and pleasant off duty.
Okay, this card is just weird.
Two later cards don't add much, though for some reason she got demoted to E6 or a staff sergeant. The comic book one changes her secondary specialty to armament repair, with the card saying she likes to relax by repairing vehicles.
The modern body construction ones tend to just stick to the original file card.
Meaning they demote her back to E4. The 25th anniversary one does just come out and name drop Mission Impossible, not Improbable. Bold, considering the movies were a thing by that time. The DVD battle spec card mentions javelins, and for the first time in the toy line, she actually comes with a real goddamn javelins. Not the weird power launcher thing, not a rifle, but actual javelins. I mean, they sorta had to, considering this set was based on the cartoon.
But it's still nice to see.
Later cards don't really add anything, so I think we're finally done. There isn't much foreign file card fun to be had. The Belgian and Dutch cards change their birthplace to Cork, Ireland, and omit the Mission Impossible dig. Changing birthplaces wasn't that uncommon since it was called G.I.Joe The International Heroes here. Cutter, for example, is from Holland on our cards.
So, what have we learned from all these cards combined?
Well, she's an excellent covert operative and an expert with the javelin. She attended many schools and changed ranks more than I changed my underwear, and she's the Joe team's resident mime. Yeah, she's a mime, remember?
And like I said, you'll never be able to forget that.
Next time, we'll see how much of all this shows up in other media.
Well, I'll see you next time, everybody. And hey, why not like, share, and subscribe if that's your thing?
Lady